Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host, Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Elizabeth Steffen, who is running for the Zoning Commission for the town of Old Saybrook. She's a candidate. Liz, welcome. How are you?
I am fine. Nice to be here.
Nice to see you. It's been a while. What's new?
I've been busy.
Yeah, good.
I spent some time at the Cape now, ushering.
Oh, nice.
I just spent last week down at, can I give a plug?
Sure, go ahead.
To WMNR, Fine Arts Radio, the classical music radio station in Connecticut.
Sure, absolutely.
And we had a fundraiser, and I manned telephones for over 18 hours.
Oh, there you go. How'd you guys do?
We did very well. We raised between $60,000 and $70,000.
Oh, wow. And from what I understand by doing homework for tonight, you're a candidate in the town of Old Saybrook in November.
Absolutely.
Oh, boy.
Row A.
There you go. What are you running for?
Zoning.
Okay.
It'll be, I was on zoning for 10 years, and I was asked to come back.
Okay.
So I said, yes, I'll come back, and I'm on the ballot November 2nd.
There you go. There you go. And obviously, you've been active in town politics in the town of Old Saybrook for a while now. Tell us a little bit about your political background.
I'm a registered Democrat, have been for more years than I want to think about. I started in Old Saybrook in the mid-90s as a researcher for an ad hoc group called Friends of Saybrook.
Okay.
We worked very hard to keep big box stores out of Old Saybrook. We didn't want Old Saybrook to look like Milford.
Right.
And we were successful in getting a cap on supermarkets at 85,000 feet. We were able to get Staples downsized to 33,000 square feet. I left square out with the supermarkets. We kept Lowe's and Home Depot out of town because we did a study and we found that it would kill most of the other businesses in town, and we didn't want that for Old Saybrook.
No, of course not. Of course not.
And I was put on zoning in '97 as an alternate, served 3 terms, and then was elected as a regular member of the commission. And the last 2 years I was on the commission, I was vice chairman.
Okay. Now, what types of issues does zoning take up? Obviously, zoning, things that want to come into the town.
Any business that wants to come into the town, any multiple family home that wants to come into the town. Right now, we do have quite a bit of affordable housing, more than some of the surrounding towns, but we'd like to have more.
Right.
The thing that holds us back is that we do not want a public sewer system.
Right.
And so DEEP turns down any time a developer wants to put apartments on top of the businesses on Main Street and Route 1 because it's very difficult with septic systems.
Right. Now, as far as, are you just involved in politics in the town of Old Saybrook? I know you serve on other boards and commissions. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the other boards you serve on?
Well, I was canned from one volunteer job some years ago because of, I'll come right out and say it.
Go ahead.
Because it was anti-Semitism and they didn't want a Jew.
Exactly.
And 2 weeks later, I was approached by someone to join the board of Saybrook Village Senior Housing.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
On Sheffield Street, and I'm now in my 3rd year as president at Saybrook Village. We just finished getting one section of the housing, heating and air conditioning, upgraded. It had been something that 2 former presidents had worked on and got nowhere. And the people came and spoke to us, and I just sat back and said, that's not the way it works, guys. Well, you know, air conditioning. I said, you're talking to the daughter
Right.
who founded a very large refrigeration and air conditioning company. You can't snow me.
Exactly.
And it just finished. We have 20 units, I believe it's 20 units, that have brand new air conditioning and heating systems.
Really? Wow. How long did that take?
They started in, I think, April,
Okay.
and they finished up last week.
Oh, wow. Not bad. So how are things going over with the senior housing?
They're going very well.
Yeah.
I am happy to be able to say nobody died of COVID, and we only had one case of a resident coming down with a very mild case of COVID. We make sure everybody is masked at all times
Yeah.
in the community room. The police department was excellent in getting all the residents vaccinated across the street at the middle school,
Yep.
and they all had Moderna. The 5 staff members were vaccinated. They wouldn't do the 2 oldest members of the board, but we went over to the Yale New Haven Medical Building in town
Yep.
right away, and the 2 of us were vaccinated the end of January, the beginning of February.
Okay.
So that's quite an accomplishment.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
so many places where residents are confined, something like COVID just went right through the places.
Absolutely. And what's as far as senior housing goes, where you guys are on Sheffield Street, everybody is obviously was practicing social distancing and all
So,
that other,
yep.
all the
Yep,
CDC
and-
guidelines.
Yep, instead of having a holiday party last December,
Right.
we went to one supermarket in Old Saybrook, and they didn't even want to talk to us about gift certificates. So we went to Big Y, and they fell all over themselves selling us gift certificates, and even gave us a discount.
Really?
And then when our residents were so well behaved all winter and spring, we went to Walt's Market on Main Street in
Sure.
June,
Absolutely.
and we said, I was the one who did it, I'd like to purchase 77 $40 gift certificates. And Mr. Cozy said, I'll throw in an extra $10 of every to every gift certificate.
Wow.
So each resident and staff got a $50 gift
There you
certificate.
go.
And I just thought that was overwhelming because it cost him
Right.
$770 to throw in that extra $10
Exactly.
for everybody.
Exactly.
And
Absolutely.
we have a 5 to 7 year waiting period to get into those apartments.
Really.
Yeah.
Now, are they good? Are they good size inside, or are they rather
They're
economy?
pretty roomy. You
Okay.
have a nice living room, a fair-sized kitchen, 1 bedroom for most of them, 2 bedrooms for others. They have a patio. Some of the residents have small vegetable gardens in the summer, and
Okay.
we put in outside faucets for them to keep their vegetable gardens and their flower gardens watered.
Absolutely.
And the only restriction we put on them was if they didn't turn the water off, we'd turn the water off, and they wouldn't be able to water their.
Exactly. If you don't turn the water off, there's going to be no water to turn back on.
Right. But it's some people think it's condominiums over there because it's kept looking so nice.
Right. I think I've been there once with you.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I think I was there to drop something off with you one afternoon and didn't have a chance to walk around the grounds or see what it was like. But it looks, from what I see from street level, it looks really nice.
Yeah, and we keep it, we don't have that many employees, and
No.
and they keep it absolutely pristine.
And I'm sure you work well with the administration of the town of Old Saybrook.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've spoken to the first selectman, and because this is going to be televised, and I don't know if the resident watches it.
That's okay.
She's turning 100.
Okay.
And I already have a certificate from the United States Congress.
Oh, there you
Compliments of Congressman Courtney.
go. Absolutely.
I've written to the White House, and we hope to have one from them. And our first selectman called, said, "Count me in, I'll be there."
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. He is just a wonderful person.
absolutely.
He's just a very hospitable person, and he's always good with me. I'll call him. Hey, I've got an opening. You want it? Sure. But I'm going to bring somebody with me. And it's like the revolving joke is you never know who's going to show up with them. Susie Beckman shows up with them. Jan Peruccio shows up with them. It's like a guessing game of. One day he was telling me, he's like, I'm bringing somebody with me. He came down. Nobody came with him. He was like, you get me for a half hour. I'm like, that's easy. I'm like, him and I look at each other. We're like, we could do that in our sleep.
Yep.
It's like, obviously, he's done a very good job running the town of Old Saybrook. I don't live in Saybrook, but I work in Saybrook, and from what I...
Town is very well run. It's a nice place to live, and I've lived in Old Saybrook now for over 50 years.
Oh, wow. Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Not at all.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that Smokey's only said,
Only you can prevent wildfires.
but I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Keep on keeping on, baby. Keep on keeping on, yeah. You expect me to stop living? No, you're telling me giving. I gotta keep on, your baby. Gonna keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Connecticut, for doing your part to stop the spread of COVID-19, for wearing your masks, washing your hands, and keeping your distance. So keep it up, Connecticut. We've come too far to go back.
Keeping on.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Elizabeth Steffen, who's running for the Zoning Commission for the town of Old Saybrook. Liz, welcome back.
You're happy to be here.
Well, thanks for sticking around. So we were talking in the first segment about your candidacy running for zoning. I guess my first question to open this segment is, why'd you run?
I was asked.
Okay. Okay.
I
All
was
right.
asked. Madge Fish has retired and
Yeah.
moved out of state,
Absolutely.
and I was asked would I be interested in running, and I know zoning very well,
Right.
and I would be a good addition to the zoning commission, so I said, sure, I'll run.
And obviously you have someone running against you on the Republican side.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm opposite Jerry Lewis.
Okay.
The other candidate on the Democratic side, Lauren Gray, is running against Bob Friedman.
Okay.
So,
Pretty good sized commission you guys are on with zoning?
I think there are 5 regular members and 3 alternates.
Okay. All right. All right.
So right now I'm just on inland wetlands,
That's right.
and I'm an appointed commissioner to that.
Okay.
The first selectman appoints
Right.
at-large members to that commission.
Okay. How's that going?
It's been pretty busy this year. We have not missed a month. Usually You know, some years we meet 3-4 times. This year we've met every single month, and 2 months ago we went back to doing it in person
Really?
with Robbie the robot in the middle of the room,
There you go.
zooming it to anybody who
There-
didn't want to come in.
There you go. And then obviously, before that, you guys were doing things through Zoom or through
We
Skype.
were doing the Zoom meetings.
Yeah, which is
I've reached the point where if I don't do another Zoom meeting, I won't miss it.
trust me too. Because from when everything first started with the show, when I was doing everything from home, we were doing it through Zoom. It's like if I'm never on another Zoom meeting, it's going to be too soon.
Yep.
It's not. It's
And sometimes it's just people talk
Right.
at you. They don't talk to you. They just talk at
Right.
you.
Exactly.
And that you find out I do have a temper.
oh boy. Oh no, that's not good.
No,
It's definitely not.
but it enabled boards, commissions
Yeah.
to meet.
Right.
Because otherwise we would not have been able to, and then government would have fallen apart.
Absolutely.
And I haven't a problem in wearing my mask.
No, me either. Me either.
When I work at the Cape, not only do I have to have a mask all the time, but when I came back to work, I had to prove I'd had my vaccination.
Yeah, and she approved of vaccination.
Yep. And any usher or person working there who wasn't vaccinated was told to go home.
Really? Wow.
We want the theater to stay open. We want
Absolutely.
the town to stay open.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, because not just the theater, it's the restaurants.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's important.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand these people who say, I'm not going to get vaccinated. I grew up before we had measles, mumps, rubella
Exactly.
vaccinations. I had all three of them.
Right.
When my mother died and I cleaned out her safe deposit box, I discovered there was something I never knew existed. She had taken out, well, she and my dad had taken out polio insurance in case their two children caught polio before there was a vaccination.
Oh, wow.
She got me to the doctor so quickly when the Salk vaccine came out.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that there was insurance for polio.
Neither did
I
do
didn't.
I, but I can remember seeing rows and rows of iron lungs
Absolutely.
when people caught polio and couldn't breathe. So
Absolutely.
anyone who's against a vaccination needs to have a checkup from the neck up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now they're rolling out with the booster shot for
Yep.
everybody who's.
I'm getting mine tomorrow, and I didn't make any plans for afterwards
Nope.
because I know that I'll probably hit a wall of fatigue.
Absolutely.
And so, hey, I get my booster shot, I'm good.
Yeah. My parents are going for theirs later in the week, and I've got to wait for my number to come up to go get mine. But I got my first shot when it was time. Got my second shot when it was time. Matter of fact, when it was time for me to get my shots, my mom and dad made my appointment at the Floyd Little Athletic Center in New Haven. And so because that's where they got theirs. And one afternoon, my mom was at Walgreens in Clinton picking up his prescription, and she went in and she was asking the pharmacist, "Do you guys have any extra shots?" She was like, "You call back every night after 6 o'clock and ask the question. We'll have a better." So she calls and no. She calls on a Wednesday night. "Do you have any extra shot? Call back in a half hour." She calls back in a half hour. "We have 9 extra doses today." So I'm upstairs. I'm upstairs in the hallway doing something. She screams upstairs, "Get down here, get dressed. We're going to get your shot." Of course, it was pouring rain. And so we went and got my first shot. Second shot, again, pouring rain. Go get your second shot. Okay, I'm good. So now we just got to wait for the booster.
Your age group.
My age group booster shot to show up. And
Yeah, I got my first 2 shots at the Yale New Haven Medical Building in Old Saybrook.
Is that across from where DOT is?
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. Yep.
yeah.
I was gonna say I've been there for blood work.
I programmed it. I went on my iPad. I got mine. I got Madge Fish's.
Yeah.
I got the late Velma Thomas's parents.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who wanted, I just sat at senior housing and said, okay, just
Let's go.
give me your information and I'll make the appointments.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it was great for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
just remind everybody, November 2nd.
Right.
Vote.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get out there because it's a local election this
It's
year.
all local this
It's
year.
all. I'm thinking. I'm like, it's not a municipal election. That's next year.
And I won't even be in town on election day
No,
because I'm an
you'll be
election official up in Killingworth.
You'll be working. That's right. You'll be in another town on election.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about
I
that.
will be. I have to be in Killingworth before 5 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's a long day.
Yes.
I remember that. I've talked to you on election day before. It's like that's a.
It's a very long day, and
Absolutely.
I'm not as young as I used to be.
No. And I see that Kathy Eno in Killingworth isn't running.
Nope, she's retiring.
I saw that.
And there's let me rephrase that to make it proper English. There isn't a Democrat running, so the Republican is an automatic win. The Democratic Party in Killingworth could not come up with anyone to run against Kathy.
Isn't that the same
Run for
philosophy in Old
Kathy.
Saybrook?
Yep, Democrats couldn't come up with anyone to run against Carl.
And so Carl automatically.
He is first selectman.
Carl automatically wins. That's which
Yep.
is.
As soon as he votes for himself,
There
he's in.
He's got to remember to vote for himself.
Yep.
And I know there's a race here in Westbrook
Mm-hmm.
because Noel Bishop's not running.
Yep, he's retiring as well. No, he's been first selectman for quite a while.
He has been. I think so is Kathy Eno.
I think 12 years.
Okay.
So when I saw her a couple of weeks ago, I said, well, this time you don't have to worry that I'll chase you out of town hall if I
That's-
see you walk in.
That's right, because you're not if you're an elected official on election day, you're not allowed to.
Well, she couldn't be in because we do
Right.
same-day voter
That's right.
registration
That's
right in
right.
town hall.
That's right.
So I was constantly saying, go outside.
Shooing her out. Get out, please leave. Please leave. And now who's going to be her successor in Killingworth?
I don't know.
Okay. Because I don't know either. but
I saw it in the paper,
Yeah.
but the names didn't mean anything to me.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So how important is it in your mind for people to vote on election day?
it's a responsibility
Okay.
that we all have. When I was a teacher, I had a sign up in my classroom that said, voting is not a right. Voting is a responsibility so that democracy can survive. Signed by Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, wow. That's right. You taught. What did you teach?
History and government.
Where?
Yonkers, New York.
Of course, I know all this, but I'm trying to educate our viewers out there.
I taught for 20 years down in Yonkers, New York. First at the High School of Commerce and then at Yonkers High School.
Okay.
And for part of the time I was the Social Studies Department chairman.
Okay. Sure.
And it was interesting, but
Absolutely.
came a time where got a little tired of commuting from Old Saybrook to Yonkers.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's
And
probably
I had an opportunity to go into business in Old Saybrook.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I did. I owned and operated Le Cochon Vert on Boston Post Road across the street from Johnny Ads
Mm-hmm.
for 8 years, and it only closed down when my father became terminally ill. And as the firstborn in the family, I had the responsibility to help my parents.
There you go. So you had to close the business.
I had to close the business
Go
and
do the family thing.
took care of my father until he went into hospice, and after he died, I took care of my mother for the next 8.5 years until she died.
Wow.
And then I was able to come back and pick up my life
There you
again.
go. And here we are again. Here we are.
Yep.
Again. Before we say goodnight, I want to thank you for some time, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. I'm
Thank you.
very pleased to come down here.
No problem. No problem. On behalf of Liz Steffen, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night, and we'll see you next time.